Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club Podcast, where every month we deep dive into a different aspect of cinema, directors, actors, genres, or franchises. It's always fun at the Film Club. I'm sorry, I can't keep a straight face right now.
It's like not doing anything. I'm just observing my surroundings.
But yeah,
Oh my god, I'm dying.
a little bit. I'm Dean.
I'm Becky.
And
Are we really keeping this as the intro?
Why
Yeah,
not?
why not?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, this is Randy, by the way.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have
Famous from the Film Odyssey podcast.
Can I get your autograph?
Oh, of course. Here.
Thank you.
we have a guest today, my brother Randy from the Film Odyssey podcast, Trek Through Cinema, greatest films ever made, yada yada yada. And we're doing animation this month, and this week we're doing
The Pagemaster.
yes.
Did you forget?
Why do you look like you've never been here before?
I'm.
You look
He's-
kind of scared too. Are
I was
you
having
okay?
a lovely time.
He's thrown back by the two of us being here at the same time.
He is.
It's a little weird, but yeah, we're doing Pagemaster. Stars Macaulay Culkin, Patrick Stewart, Leonard
Christopher
Nimoy,
Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd, Jim Cummings, fucking Whoopi Goldberg. Star-studded cast for no reason. Comes out in 1994. It is 75 minutes long, and Randy
Only 75 minutes.
only 75 minutes.
Quick.
And Randy, we brought you onto the podcast because you have a deep, personal, nostalgic connection to Pagemaster.
I do. And I feel like watching the movie back again, I kind of felt the ripples of like throughout my life, the influence of this, of Pagemaster. I'm just like, wow, like it really influenced my life a lot more than I thought it did.
Really?
Yeah, because now I have like a really huge like love of books. I collect a lot of books nowadays, and it's kind of like, wow, I really liked books when I was a kid. Then like, you know, kind of falling out, didn't read as much, a lot of video games, and now I'm back into like the books again, and it's like I can kind of trace it back to Pagemaster, kind of making all these like classic stories kind of feel exciting when I was a kid.
I think that's the story of a lot of people who saw Pagemaster, because I'm pretty sure the reason I started reading like Jekyll and Hyde and Treasure Island was because of this movie.
And Jekyll and Hyde is like one of your favorite books.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Even though it's like basically a novella, like the thing's real
Mhm.
short.
It is like 103 pages. It is very short, and I probably reread that book every year, I think. And that book is lovely. But I know you were also a Pagemaster kid, Becky.
Yes, I was. I love the movie. Horror was my favorite book, obviously. So all of us were, influenced by this movie, and it's still there.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
the movie's kind of broken up into horror, fantasy, and
Adventure.
adventure, which are like the quintessential like kids books.
Yeah.
It's a thing where it's like the horror section I really loved, the adventure section I was like, wow, this is cool, and then fantasy is a music video, and then
And
the
the
dragon.
dragon.
Yeah, you have the Dragon Classic.
And
Yeah.
but the dragon's kind of like the only one that's like generic and not strictly based on
Mm-hmm.
a specific book, although it's basically a rip of Disney's
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty.
The movie is just it is such a nice kids movie. It is like I'm trying to find a good way to describe it, where it's like, is this one of those like evergreen, show any kid any year and it would still kind of work? Or is this just a really big 90s kids movie?
I would definitely say the younger the kid is, like between like 6 and 8, would be like a good range to show them Pagemaster. But any older, they'll kind of start seeing the seams in the movies or in the movie, where like a lot of things were kind of sped up or cut out. Because that's kind of the problem with the movie. If I'm just gonna like throw it out there already, is that it kind of seems like it's not really all there.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Because the movie's 75 minutes long, and I'm like, it
Something
felt,
had to have been cut.
yeah. I actually know a scene that was cut from the movie. We're gonna get into that, but before we do, let's let everyone know what the movie's about. I have the back of the box here.
You lie.
Yeah, why do you lie to our viewers?
Get back of the box synopsis.
Or
You know,
listeners, I should say.
listeners, viewers, people in the ether. But I have it here.
VR chatters.
How would you get VR chatter? Do we have it streamed?
I think you can get like a browser in like these VR games, and then from there go to like YouTube and like watch or listen or whatever. I'm not sure.
Contact us on Instagram if you were listen to us in VR. That'd be
kind of sick.
That'd be kind of sick. We would be in the future now. But here's what Pagemaster's about. Richard Tyler is a nervous kid, afraid to engage with the world around him, but when his dad sends him to the hardware store, thinks
Run it back. Run it
Things.
back.
Okay, got it. Okay. When his dad sends him to the hardware store, things begin to change. Richard is caught in a storm and forced to wait it out in the library, where he encounters the Pagemaster and is sent into the world of books. With the help of the embodiments of adventure, fantasy, and horror, Richard searches for the exit so he can get home, but he will have to cross paths with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Captain Ahab, Long John Silver, and a fire-breathing dragon to do it. And there's also a pretty hard 90s power ballad music video in there.
Which
Yes.
is like totally cringe and like doesn't fit with the rest of it at all, and was definitely some exec's decision.
They're like, guys, Lion
Somebody in the marketing
King
department.
the Lion King soundtrack hit so hard. We need a ballad. We need a ballad in this.
It was definitely like a marketing decision. Well, also I think you kind of missed like a big part of like the whole story is that the kid played by Macaulay Culkin is like afraid of everything.
Yeah.
To a almost ridiculous degree.
Like his dad makes him like a treehouse outside, and all Macaulay Culkin can do is quote to him statistics of people falling out of ladders or out of trees.
Did
and
he
dying.
kind of remind you of Dean?
No, he didn't kind of remind me of Dean.
I
you,
am like,
you give a lot of stats.
I give stats, but I am also like, if I very easily put myself at risk of doing major harm to myself on a daily basis.
I mean, he almost exploded his hand at work that one time.
Yeah, he did.
I'm just saying, nothing like Richard Tyler. I was getting that vibes from you actually.
Oh, for
Oh
me.
wow.
Yeah, you know.
I'm
I
over here
don't-
being like I feel like I was Richard Tyler as a kid.
You
but,
know,
I
like
mean, you know, you guys do you.
Randy, I sent you
Whatever.
underneath the house. All right, you did fine.
Yeah, but I didn't want to go. I was forced by my older brother, that prick.
What an asshole.
What a guy.
Total douchebag, whoever he was.
But I don't know. I think like a decent amount of like kids that, especially like kids that are only child, go through a phase in which like they're afraid of everything.
Mm.
You know, because the parents are usually like worried about them a lot. They're their only, connection.
And it's also like when you're a kid, everything is both exciting and wondrous and absolutely terrifying at the same time.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's played by Macaulay Culkin. You know, that great 14-year-old playing 9 in this movie.
Which I totally believed that he was like 9 in this
Yeah.
movie. He looks so young.
Yeah, because it is kind of weird because this is that end of the Macaulay Culkin era. Because he hits big with like Home Alone in like 1990. He
Mhm.
does Home Alone 2, The Good Son, and he does like Richie Rich.
Richie Rich is after this movie.
Yeah, it comes out like the
Mhm.
month after.
Yeah.
And those two are like, he does those, they bomb, and he's like, fuck it, I'm retiring. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
He retires.
Yeah.
He retires until he's like in his 20s, I think. And then he comes back to do like guest spots on TV shows, and he did like another movie or something
like,
in the early 2000s.
How did like a 14, 15-year-old decide to
He's
retire?
got that sweet Home Alone money.
Did he really like get a lot from Home Alone?
Well, his parents did. That's kind of a famous case. Like,
Yeah.
he got emancipated from his parents when he was like 11,
really?
because they got all the money from Home Alone, like
Okay.
everything, and they like spent it all. And he's like, well,
Oh, I see.
yeah. And then he got like, I know he like doesn't have to work anymore.
I guess
basically.
I should really assume that like not everybody's like parents are gonna like have the best out for their kids, you know?
You know.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like, oh yeah, his parents got the money. Like, what of it? And it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't like assume that they're just gonna, save it, put it in a 401k and a trust fund or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean,
Invest in real estate.
I mean, it's also the thing where he was like a major child star, and
Yes.
then most child stars, once they hit puberty, you go like one of 3 ways: either you transfer into a pretty good like actor growing up, your Jodie Fosters, your Kurt Russells, you become a total train wreck, you're pick any of the other child actors, or you just kind of fade off and be like, I did stuff when I was a kid and I don't need to do it anymore. Like the kid who played like Danny Torrance in The Shining, who like that's
Yeah.
all they did, and they were like, all right, I'm done, I don't need to
That's
do this
it.
anymore, and it's like he kind of did one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But Pagemaster,
Is good.
sorry, I'm trying to find the other thing I wanted to talk
Well, no,
about.
I'm just trying to think like, so he pulls off being 9 in this movie pretty well, and being like that quintessential scared of everything kid.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Although okay, one of the first scenes in the movie is when he's riding to the hardware store on his
That sweet
great-
bike.
Yeah, I was about to say, on the badass bike this kid has.
I would describe it as a pussy wagon.
Yes.
He is picking up bitches on that thing. All right.
But I mean, yeah, like if you're sitting at home, go ahead and look up the bike from this movie. It's great. I love it. But where he passes by the kids and they're like jumping off the pipe with like the board on it, which, you know, you're like, how did this pipe get here?
Yeah.
But we
the
don't worry about
vandalism,
that.
you know. I assume the kids tore up the pipe from the ground, set it up because they're like, fuck these kids, you know.
Again, something that Dean would do.
But do you
know.
think like he looks at the kids like longingly, like in the back of his mind, kind of longingly to be like, oh, I wish I could be like them, but knowing that like, oh, statistically one of these kids is gonna fracture their arm right now? Or do you think he's kind of like completely against it?
Okay, I think he wants to be like one of those kids. Like he's lonely, you know.
Because like the kind of theme of the movie is him like getting over his fears throughout throughout the adventure, the fantasy, and the horror. But do you think he starts out as like, oh, he's got like the spark inside him, or the spark inside him like becomes a thing when he's in like the world of books and then blossoms throughout the movie? Do you think it's already there at the beginning? Or
I think the
like,
spark's there.
it's already there.
Yeah, I think, you know, with him seeing the kids, it's kind of that internal conflict of, I want to be part of society, because he's basically on his own island. You know, he's got no siblings, like you were saying. So he's very much isolated. So it's like, I want to be, you know, to quote the Little Mermaid, you know, I want to be where the people are. But at the same time, ooh, I know those people got germs, they're going to be breaking bones, you know. It's dangerous out in this piece.
They're mean bullies.
They're mean bullies. And then, you know, you have the Pagemaster that is the one that kind of, you know, ignites that spark.
I honestly agree with you. I think the spark is there from the beginning. I think the whole fact that he shows up to those kids and they're like making fun of him, they're kind of bullying him, but he kind of sits there and he's like watching them and he's not looking at them like, man, those kids are bullies. He's like, man, I wish I could bully me. I wish I could be on that side of the fence.
Terrible.
He's like, wow, you know, I get it from my dad. Now the neighborhood. He's like, I can't catch a break.
Well, okay, I wanted to mention that about like his parents, because usually in these kids movies it's like, oh, the kid's nervous and he's scared. That's usually because like in story world, oh, one of the parents died and now the kid's like scared because, oh, you know, mom died of this in a car accident, now they're scared of everything.
Yeah.
But like his parents are there and for the most part they're like pretty supportive. His dad's not like, oh, I wish you were a man, son, and slaps him around. He's like,
He's
I'm
worried
trying
about
my
being
best.
a good dad. Like they were like the most supportive parents I've ever seen in any movie, you know?
yeah, they're like totally into, oh, he's afraid of tuna fish. He's afraid of the mercury in tuna fish. And they're
like the mom like knows. She's like, no. He's afraid of the mercury in tuna fish, which, you know, if you eat too much tuna fish.
It is.
The
It'll
kid's
get you down the
right.
line.
The kid's right.
I'm just trying to think, what is the nexus point of him being this goddamn nervous? What Discovery Channel show did he watch that he's like, germ theory, that's it, can't, we're not going outside anymore?
There's just people that are born that way, where it's just, you know, they have these eccentricities where, you know, they're either very well informed and they're afraid of everything, and that's kind of what we get with him, where it's just, he is very smart, and because of this intelligence, everything scares the crap out of him because there's risk.
He learned about like people coming to America and spreading disease across America and was like, wow, you know, looked up some stuff about that, found out like, you know, 20% of people die from this and
Sign him up
15%
for
of people die from this, and was just like Googling.
Wait a minute,
I guess Google was.
It's 1994, so I'm also thinking like, what is he doing all day?
Yeah, actually, how did he figure this all out?
Didn't they say Reader's Digest?
Did they?
Or the medical journal, too?
He said, yeah, he brought a
He
medical
bought
journal.
a medical journal.
And
maybe like one of the parents is like a doctor or something. They've got them laying around the house. Kid flips through them, figures out all these things.
It's also the 90s, you know, magazine subscriptions. Like, yeah, let's just add this onto the order.
I just like how he's the most well-read, informed, and nervous child. Doesn't have a library card.
Oh yeah,
94.
true.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, kind of took me aback that like the kid knows all these things, but he doesn't go to the library. Like,
well, he's afraid to leave the house.
I know he's afraid to leave the house, but like, who gets him all this like information?
He's not on first names basis with the librarian, and I'm like, bro, come on. Like that would be like the first thing
Does he get
you would
everything
do.
mail order?
Oh, that's the secret thing is like underneath all of this, he's actually just like using his parents' credit cards to like buy all these medical journals and all these subscriptions, and the parents are like, I mean, we can't be that mad at him. It's all like medical stuff. It's not drugs.
He knows how to use the credit card in Home Alone 2.
okay, is this a Home Alone 3 situation? And they were like, look, we can't take care of Kevin. We're sending him off. We're gonna just get him adopted. And like that's why he's so nervous now.
He
His
becomes
parents-
a recluse
Oh,
because
God.
he's been exiled from his
dude,
family.
The home, like him in Home Alone was like too much of like a badass to like revert to this later on.
Home Alone is like the libertarian ideal
Shut
of
the
I will defend my home with any means necessary.
And he means available.
And he
apparently.
means yes. But so yeah, Macaulay Culkin is like super nervous. You know, he's going to the hardware store to pick up a pound of nails, which that storyline is never resolved. Want that to be
Oh
noted.
yeah, he never comes back with the nails.
He doesn't. And his dad gives him $2 bills.
No, I thought he gave him like a 5.
No, it was like two $2 bills. I was like, oh,
Wait, really?
yeah.
That's weird.
I was like, $2 bills, cool.
Also, I don't want to make this political, but man, inflation has gone out of the world now. You could have $4 and get a pound of nails
Well,
in
yeah, it was
1994.
$94.
Okay, here's the thing though. Do any of us know how much a pound of nails costs nowadays? It
Dean
could
should
cost
know.
the same.
I went to a hardware store. It's probably more. It's probably like $8.
You love Home Depot. You should know.
It's
When's
so
the last time
expensive.
this man's been to Home Depot?
I went to LB Johnson's like a week ago.
Okay, but LB Johnson isn't Home Depot.
And it's totally different. That's like the
and
real
we don't
deal
know
Home
if this
Depot.
hardware
Yeah,
store is
true.
like, an actual name brand or it's just, the corner hardware
No,
store.
LB Johnson's like name brand.
Well, no, in the movie.
Oh, in the movie. Oh no, it's like freaking Nick's hardware store or some crap.
Well, what is it in the Simpsons? Nix and Spitz hardware or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. But he goes to the hardware store, gets caught up in the storm of the century.
Oh, by the way, right after he gives his dad a concussion and throws him out of the treehouse.
It's like, Dad, I told you, most of the accidents that happen in the home involve a ladder.
Yeah, right after the kid beans his dad with a bucket full of nails.
And his dad gets thrown off the top of the ladder like Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one, if that was my dad, I would get my ass beaten immediately.
Yeah, bro, the restraint on that man was incredible.
Again, best dad in all of cinema. Are we agreed on this at this point?
Okay, he's the most safe dad in all of cinema.
Yeah.
Most safe dad in all of cinema. Not the most exciting dad.
No.
Mhm.
You know, he's
Very vanilla.
Very vanilla. I mean, the parents are extremely vanilla.
That's what
Yes.
you pay Ed Begley Jr. to do, is be your vanilla suburban dad in movies. That's what you pay him to do.
That, and it's also the 90s where, yes, we have the vanilla parents that are very cool, and then it's the kids that are, fucking awesome, and they're doing,
Mhm.
wonderful things. And that's great, sweetie, that you jumped
Oh,
through
yeah,
that ring
yes,
of fire. It
of
was
course.
Oh. So,
cool. Bitchin'.
after Richard Tyler dodges an ass whooping and is going to go to the hardware store, the storm of the century comes in.
Well, that's why he didn't need the ass whoop, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna send you into the wild.
Yeah.
See if you survive the storm.
That would be great if that was his dad's thing. He's like, you know what, son? I know you can do this. You can go to the hardware store like a mile away and you can do this. And then he's like, the storm's coming in. My son will either come back a man or not at all. The Spartan way.
That treehouse will be mine.
Also, that's a bitchin' treehouse, by
Oh,
the way.
yeah.
It's nice.
I always wanted a treehouse when I was a kid,
Same.
but we never had a tree that could support my fat child ass in a treehouse.
Oh God, no.
Ugh. But yeah, so he's going through what seems to be the woods, and then crashes and finds the
It's
library.
like a park.
Is
Yeah.
it a park?
It's a park.
Okay, because
Well, firstly, he passes by the kids, and then the storm comes. He goes through the tunnel,
Yes.
through the park, ends up in the library,
through the tunnel that is struck by lightning and starts shooting like sparks everywhere.
which is like totally ridiculous, but looks cool.
Yeah.
And the kid is like, statistics, man, shouldn't have gone through the tunnel. You know how many people die in tunnels from lightning strikes?
What the?
At least 0.01%, and I am that 0.01%. So he goes and he finds the library, and we meet the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dewey himself, Christopher Lloyd.
And Dean wept
Why did Dean wait?
because he loves Christopher Lloyd.
I mean, Christopher Lloyd's Doc Brown. All right.
I know, but
He's
like,
also Uncle
and
Fester.
Did you weep because of his performance in this movie?
No, I didn't actually weep, but I was like,
and the fact that
oh,
he's named after the Dewey Decimal System, he's like, oh, books.
I thought that was kind of funny.
it's funny. There's a lot of funny gags in the movie that are like in the background where it's like if you're not paying attention because you're like 4, they're really funny.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes in, and Christopher Lloyd is just like, I know what you want. You want horror. graveyards, monsters, ghouls, and he starts going this long fucking monologue, and I'm like,
Where he's like chasing him around.
yes, and I'm like, this scene is something like should be on stage. You should be King Lear or something, not telling a kid what book to read.
Oh yeah, he's like playing it to the cheap seats, talking to Rich about like what book he wants. Because he's basically trying to like guess, like, oh, there's a kid in here. He must want to like read books. Let me try and guess what he wants.
He's like, I haven't had a fucking anyone in here in months. I've been preparing this monologue. Oh shit.
Crazy creepy, by the way.
It is. If it was anyone other than like a Christopher Lloyd type,
Yeah.
I would be like, is this guy gonna like kill Richard in like back room? Is that what's gonna happen? But because it's Christopher Lloyd, I'm like, he's in Camp Nowhere. He's good people. We're good. This guy,
Camp Nowhere.
I feel safe with this guy anywhere. And then, but Richard's like, fuck books. I ain't here for that shit. Where's the telephone,
Where's
old
the
man?
payphone?
Where's the payphone, old man? And he's like, in the back. Then go west and whatever. And he
Go
gives him
through fiction. It'll be on the westernmost wall or some crap.
some bullshit. And then he walks through probably the best library ever because it is fucking labyrinthianly huge.
No, it's not the best library ever. That's the one that they use in like all the pictures of libraries on like every
Meme.
classical music compilation on YouTube.
Where it's like the 5 stories tall with like 3 sets of ladders and shit.
Yes, that's the best library. I don't remember where that library is actually. I wish I knew.
You would go.
I would go. I'd go and visit it at least once. But it's not the best library, but it's a pretty bitchin' library.
I mean,
It's pretty sweet.
you see that mural on the ceiling.
It's a nice mural.
That is a nice mural.
Do you think that Christopher Lloyd paid to have his face put on the mural up there, or was already there and it's just like, like I'll just do it on my off time and change it?
Maybe he painted it himself. The whole mural.
The whole mural, like Michelangelo.
It's not a public library. It's a private library.
Yes.
Open to the public.
Oh.
It's his house.
It's his library.
This is Dewey's library.
Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, as soon as we hit that mural, I was like, wow, I remember everything from my childhood. It was like beat for beat. I was like, okay, we are like digging in deep. This is very weird.
I had the exact same
Yeah.
thing where
Yeah.
once we saw the mural, I was like, oh yeah, this is where it starts like dripping
Yeah.
from the
Yeah,
ceiling.
the
and,
fucking like paint dragon and stuff.
yeah, I was like, oh, I remember all this. This is crazy.
I was like, I'm back.
Mhm.
It is
100%.
it is weird because I was watching in the first part of the movie. I'm like, I don't really remember all that much about this.
I kind of vaguely
Mhm.
remembered
Again,
it.
I remember the bike because how you can forget it?
That bike is sick. Although I kind of also was like, don't I remember this bike from another movie? And then I was like, nah, I'm probably tripping.
You trip a lot, but the mural is definitely one of those like great images of this movie where it's just like, oh yeah, if you see this as a kid, this is just gonna stick with you for like ever and ever and ever.
Mhm.
But then it gets spooky and shit
It does.
when it starts dripping. It goes into some bad 90s CGI that's just
Okay, but here's the thing. The CGI doesn't last like that long.
it's used smart.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets a pass.
Yeah, I mean, if that CGI was on for like any longer and the seams started to like go off, and it'd be weird. But it is interesting because the CGI melds right into like 2D animation,
Mhm.
which I think is why it works so well. And apparently that was like a big selling point on the movie was the technology they were using, the CGI, and that whole scene was basically what sold the movie technically.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I mean, it was kind of like Wizard of Oz, where, we have this sepia tone movie and then we transition into color. And this movie,
Mm.
Real movie, and it transitions into a 2D movie. And it's like, oh, wow, that's cool. Now we're watching a cartoon.
Now this is classic 2D drawn animation.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is like classic animation because CG had gotten to the point where it can do like the paint effects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Toy Story comes out this year or like the year after, I think.
I think Toy Story comes out in 94 too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Pixar is like cutting edge CG animated movies. So this is still like 2D animation because it was just like the standard, like this is what you could do.
And who makes this movie?
This movie is made by 20th Century Fox and or it's distributed by 20th Century Fox, right?
It's released by 20th Century. It's produced by Turner Pictures, which I don't know if that's still around, but it's also produced by Hanna-Barbera.
Oh,
Same
yeah,
as
Hanna-Barbera. Yeah, I remember
Scooby-Doo
that.
and Zombie Island.
Yes. And the Turner one, that it's like a Warner Brothers animation,
Yeah,
like Turner
basically.
Warner Brothers. Yeah. And that was like one of those big selling points is, oh, we're melding all this technology, it's going to be great. And it still works. Like the whole paint thing is super imaginative. It's really fun. And then when we finally get into like the 2D animated part, like the selling point of the movie, I'm like, man, this shit looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the 2D animation like holds up well enough. The CG, I mean, you can tell that crap's bad. But the 2D animation, it's like, you know, it's not the most technical, the most detailed, but like it's like kids 2D animation, like 2D hand drawn stuff. Typical, you know, not bad, not amazing, fine.
yeah, the same guy who did the animation for this is Pixote Hunt or Maurice Hunt. He's French and he has like two different names. So Maury, I'm gonna go with Maury.
Okay. I mean, he did a lot of big movies.
Did he really?
He was one of the primary animators for Black Cauldron, right?
Yeah. Black Cauldron.
American Tail, I think, was also one from him.
Yeah. Fantasia 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, he's done a lot of movies. That's why I was kind of impressed to see that. Oh, Emperor's New Groove. That was another one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So this guy kind of stuck around for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. And the guy who directs the live action stuff, that's Joe Johnston. He did Jumanji,
Okay.
October Skies, The
Oh,
Rocketeer.
October Skies.
Yeah, also October Skies. That was like the first movie I was like, so this is what a dad movie is.
Also, Raiders of the Lost Ark. He also did Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah. Well, he was a production designer for Raiders, or a special effects guy for Raiders.
Visual effects
for Raiders, but he did direct Captain America: The First Avenger. We did that episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so wow, like that's kind of weird. We've got like a pretty decent director and a pretty good like animation director.
Yeah, that's why I love that they melded these two directors, and then you have this all-star cast in this children's movie in the 90s.
Okay, you mentioned some of the people that were on the cast, and I was like, wait, who did they play?
Okay, I got that all here.
Okay,
so,
like Leonard Nimoy, like he was in this?
Leonard
Yes,
Nimoy is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Really?
Yes. Okay, we also have, I'll just go through because we meet them all like right here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at first we meet Adventure. That is Sir Patrick Stewart, Captain fucking Picard.
Really?
Transformative voice performance.
Yeah, honestly.
And his first voice performance.
This is his first voice performance?
Same as Whoopi's and same as Leonard Nimoy.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense, you know. They're doing their own thing before this, and not like voice performing in like kids in animated stuff yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
it won't be till like I think it's the same year that Whoopi does The Lion King when she does Shenzi.
It is the same year. Yeah, because Lion King released in July. Yeah.
Wait, Lion King, Toy Story, and Pagemaster all come out in the same year?
Yeah.
That's a great year for kids.
We're gonna get into like this movie's like box office in a little bit, and it's gonna be very depressing. But so yeah, we have Sir Patrick Stewart playing Adventure. We have Whoopi Goldberg playing Fantasy, she's not really putting on much of like a voice. It's her voice,
It's her.
but she's very charismatic, and it's Whoopi Goldberg. At the time, she's like
she's still
mega
playing
fucking
the character,
famous,
even though she's not putting on like a voice for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have Frank Welker doing horror. If you don't know who Frank Welker is, he is the voice of Fred Jones from Scooby-Doo since 1969. He's the original voice. He still does it today, and he is currently the voice of Scooby-Doo, and has been since
after Zombie Island, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
we talked about
like,
him a lot last week, and that's why it was such a trip that, you know, we planned this, but we didn't plan it to coincide with Zombie Island, where, you know, we've got the Hanna-Barbera tie, we've got the Frank Welker tie. It's just kind of weird how all of that worked out.
Yeah, but Frank Welker, legendary voice actor, right? You know, Leonard Nimoy, Jekyll and Hyde, obviously. Long John Silver is played by Jim Cummings, who is the voice and has always been the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Yep.
Oh.
Yes, he is also the singing voice for Jeremy Irons in Lion King. He is another one of those like legendary voice actors that is just down the like. If you look up his IMDb, it is like 88,000 credits. It's like ridiculously long. And like but that's like your main like cast of characters, and all of them are like, okay, all of you are like A-list like leads or A-list names in all of your little genres and whatever, you know. And it's like talent grenade just goes off here.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of talented people on this project.
Yeah,
in the cast and in the directors. What went wrong, Dean?
I want to enjoy the movie a little bit more.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, you know, another talented person that's tied to this, one of the writers David Kirshner. So there's a lot of writers on this, but he wrote An American Tale, Curious George, Hocus Pocus. He's on like the new Chucky show as an executive producer. So it's just a lot of talented people came to make this movie.
Yeah, and it's like wild how much like work is in on this, and it's a thing where it's like the Turner Animation's attempt to try and take over Disney's spot. Because they're also coming out with like Iron Giant, I think, is like right around this time. Cats Don't Dance is like right around this time of when they're trying to be like, Disney needs to get off the monopoly of children's entertainment, and Turner's trying to do that, and this is one of their attempts.
Oh man, it's kind of rough for them though. Trying to dethrone Disney on anything.
We'll get into that later. That might be a reason why things went poorly. So, but at this point in the movie, we meet all of our little, characters, books, right?
Firstly, we get transported into the cartoon world.
Yes, the cartoon world where we get to meet the Pagemaster, played by Christopher Lloyd. Sir Christopher Lloyd, but he's not English.
We forgot another, big person that's part of this cast of making this movie. The score was composed by James Horner.
I know that name. That's a very big name.
Casper, Titanic.
He did the score for Titanic?
He did, yeah. Avatar.
So he works with James Cameron?
Yeah, this is a big deal. I mean, he's passed now, but yeah, James Horner is a huge composer.
Jeez, it just keeps getting piled on top of more and more talented people worked on
this
thing.
That's what I was like, I know I have somebody else on the list, and it's just like, my God, all these people came together, and it's just...
Like people in every department.
Yeah, every department
had talent. Every department had talent. This is also Macaulay Culkin at the height of his fucking powers as a child star.
Well, maybe not the editing department, but we'll get that out.
We'll get into that. Okay. So we meet the Pagemaster, and he introduces us to the world of books, and he's like, if you want to leave Richard Tyler, you must go to the exit, and then there's the exit sign off in the distance.
And it's just kind of like a floating green exit. I love it, actually.
The movie's animation is so expressionistic, and it's so fun because this library, it literally turns into like a labyrinth when we see like the overhead shot, and it's like, oh, this is just like beautiful. It's just this labyrinth of books. And then the Pagemaster's explaining things, and you see like the ghostly visage of like the Vikings rowing across the sky or whatever.
You have the giant walking down the aisle of books. You're able to look at the books and actually see titles of well-known books.
That's something that they don't do a lot in movies. Yeah. Like they avoid it specifically.
Yeah.
It is a thing in almost every animated movie of this time where it's hand-drawn. They try to cut corners anywhere they can because hand-drawn animation takes forever.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that.
This movie technically is in production for like 3 years.
Yeah, almost 4 years.
Yeah, so so Macaulay Culkin is probably like, IRL is like 11 when he's actually like on screen, but it takes so long to do it. Like, I don't know if he's like 14 still doing some of the voice lines for like ADR, or if he's like, because he's 14 when it's released.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but putting like actually having visible names on books is also something they avoid a lot in live action.
Yeah.
Most of the books that they use are like law books in like any movie.
Yes.
Just generic.
It is funny because you own like a book set that is in every fucking TV show and movie because you have that great book set.
Oh yeah, I have like the
Encyclopedia Britannica?
It's the Encyclopedia Britannica's Great Books of the Western World set from like the 50s. And they must have sold this thing door to door to everybody. It is in all of these movies. These things must have been easy to acquire.
Oh yeah, dude. What is it? When we watch old movies, or when we were watching stuff for the Film Odyssey, we would watch some movies and there'd be like in the background like book sets, and we'd be like, "Yo, Randy, that's your book set.
That's the book set.
That's it.
That's it."
In Shawshank Redemption, I'm like, "Yo, that's your book set, like on like behind Andy Dufresne right there. That's it."
Yeah, literally. It's in a bunch of movies. Just because it's generic, it doesn't have like a lot of stuff going on the side of it. It looks clean. There's a lot of them.
You also can't like magnify it on 35 print and see what the titles are and get into legal trouble, and that's why all the books we see that are like portrayed are like all public domain.
Yeah.
Yes, they're all old public domain. Been there, done that.
Yes, and the first public domain world we enter is the land of horror, which is the fucking best part of this movie.
So cool.
Well, you're getting a little ahead of yourself.
I want to talk about Jacqueline Heights so much.
We get the Hounds of Baskerville first.
Which is fucking metal. I love that book, by the way. Just wanted you to know that.
And, we have those great scenes, those great transitions where, they're trying to outrun the hound and, we're jumping through, different little shelves of the book, shelves that are in
and transferring from the library at large
into the cemetery.
Into horror.
The horror section.
And it's like, yes, you must walk through the cemetery and enter the home of Dr. Jekyll.
And Mr. Hyde.
And Mr. Hyde.
Must be a duplex.
Yeah.
I love it.
Great jokes.
There are some good gags in the movie. There's some good jokes. I also like how when you're walking through the cemetery, there's like James Marley's like grave and it's covered in chains, and you see like all the little details. Like when he was going up to the house, Randy's like, "Oh, does Dracula live here? I didn't know Dracula was in this movie."
Frankenstein was supposed to be in this movie.
There was a gravestone that said "Rip Dracula" on it.
Oh, poor Dracula. But that is a thing. That was one of the deleted scenes was with Frankenstein.
Yeah, and then for the Super Nintendo game, I guess Frankenstein is still part of like the adventure.
They made a Super Nintendo
they
game out of
did,
this?
Yeah.
Of course they did.
Oh, yeah.
It's the 90s.
It is.
Definitely.
Gotta have the game tie-ins.
Exactly.
But I love this section so much. The door opens, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta get out," and the thing rolls over into the darkness, and then it's Dr. Jekyll there with the fucking candle, and it's all dark and spooky. And I love the door is like 1,000 feet tall.
Yeah.
and
Oh
that
yeah, it's like
weird
ridiculously high. And when they open it, the horror book that joins them on their journey falls off of it.
I also love how horror is like half Frankenstein, half Quasimodo.
Yes.
And it's I love the design of each of the little books, because adventure is like pirates, swashbuckling, the fantasy is the fairy godmother, and horror is just Quasimodo. And it's so nice.
And he's sweet.
Their designs
so
are really nice.
I was trying to remember because, obviously there's merchandising that goes with this movie. You get the book, the video game. They had the pillows that,
Oh, then they were like the books?
They were the books.
Oh.
And I was like, it can't just be me that remembers this. And so I looked it up. I found it on eBay. They had horror. And I had to show my mom, I'm like, did I have this when I was growing up? And she goes, no, I don't think so. She goes, I think you just wanted it and we couldn't find it for you. But horror's like $90 to $100 on eBay.
Jeez.
So there's people that like this movie that are still around.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saved it just to have it as a picture, and the dealer's like, yo, I'll give it to you for like $80, and I'm like, oh, 90s me is like, buy it.
But you're just like, it's just a pillow, man.
It's just a pillow, but
I also like how when you said there's merchandise for this movie, Randy's eyes lit up. He's like, yo, can I get shit?
I was like, really?
Yeah, there is.
I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh, what do I want?
Everything.
There's like two things on this earth Randy will buy like merch for, and it's Pagemaster and FLCL, and they are two totally different brands of Randy's personality.
Yeah, I would buy merch for Fooly Cooly or Berserk too.
They even have trading cards.
They got but everything had trading cards in the 90s.
I got proof. Booster pack.
Okay, the package looks fucking glorious.
That's actually pretty lit. That is like so 90s card game. That looks like a pack of Ice Age.
It looks like Legends from Magic.
Yeah. It does look like Legends from Magic. It's got like the same purple. Or was it Arabian Nights had purple? I don't know. That's a huge tangent.
Yeah. So horror.
Oh, my God,
that's
you just showed us the picture of the pillow.
Horror looks so cute.
And it is exactly like the movie.
He even has a cool little secret pouch on the top of his head that you could like...
Oh, yeah, because he's hollow.
He's hollow.
Oh, that is so good.
I love horror
the gags
so much.
in this movie are so good.
I'm sorry, I have no spine. It's because, he's a paperback.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a paperback.
He has no spine.
He's got no spine.
I love that joke throughout the movie. He's got no spine. And then when he tries to be just like Adventure, yeah, I've got the bandana and I've got the sword. And he's like, you don't got no spine. You got no soul, kid. Just crushes him. Just like...
Adventure is like a surly jerk. I kind of love it. But let's just agree. Horror is the best section of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's the best section of the movie because it's the most fleshed out.
It is the most visually striking.
Yes.
Because once we get into adventure, it gets very broad comedy, very cartoony once they're on the island. But between adventure and horror, we get a good in between, a good palette change. A midpoint meal. We get Moby Dick. We get Captain Ahab.
Which
we do.
I really wish we spent more time with Moby Dick.
Yeah.
It was. I thought that he was going to go through like the whole monologue,
Dude, the monologue he is throwing out is Kino.
Yeah, but it's like the start of like a whole page or like 2-pager in Moby Dick, and I thought he was going to do the whole thing, and I was like, please, 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 and then he just does a couple lines. I'm like, oh.
The worst part is they got an actor who was like a professional, like Shakespearean theater actor from like the Globe Theater. He's like a Tony Award winner, all this other shit. And they're like, we just need you to do like this half a monologue of one of the greatest monologues in all of fiction. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to own the fucking scene if I have to.
Yo, he did, though. He delivered that thing.
I mean, I also loved how wild that scene was with the imagery. It reminded me a lot of Dumbo, like the elephants on parade. Just the vibrant colors and just chaos, and it's just like, it works.
I love as he's giving the speech, you know, I stab at thee in hell's heart, and it starts, and it goes from this like normal like 2D animation we see, and it goes like deep blacks and reds, and it turns into like something that should just be on the side of my van. Like, it's just so
Here
cool.
we go with Dean's imaginary van.
I need an 80s panel van that I could just paint fucking dragons on the side of and live my loser man-child dreams.
But going back to the relevant things, the 2D animation is a little flat sometimes, but specifically in like the Moby Dick scene, it is vibrant and alive. And you can't tell that it's like this flat 2D screen anymore.
And you know why? Because Pagemaster said it himself. You're not a cartoon. You're an illustration.
You're an illustration.
Bro, I would read more books if they were illustrated like that.
Also,
shit.
I love the Pagemaster's design where his hair is like the scrolls.
I love his staff because it is literally the scroll with little golden tassel things on each side, and it's really cool.
I love the architecture of every building or whatever we see in the movie. It's all, basically built on books. You know, the rocks, the stairs leading down to the ocean.
The theme is deep.
Treasure Island, the skull is
Skull
literally
Rock.
made of books.
Yes.
You know, after Moby Dick, we do meet Long John Silver, and once we get to Treasure Island, I feel that's the weakest part of the movie.
You feel like it's the weakest part of the movie? I know it's the weakest part of the movie.
Okay, I'm not counting.
Objectively.
I'm not counting music videos.
You're not counting the music sequence? Okay.
We'll get to there.
If we don't count the music sequence, then the weakest part of the movie is the beginning before the cartoon.
Shut the fuck up.
I mean, for remembering things after seeing the mural, I completely forgot about the music video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That threw me. I was like, what?
This exists. This is part of the movie.
And I'm like, but that's very 90s.
It's very 90s, very forgettable. I don't remember any of the lyrics from it.
Oh no! Like if we want to just adventures, we'll pin adventure real quick. But that music video, I do not
to clarify, it's at the beginning of Fantasy.
Yeah, it's the beginning of Fantasy. It's like right after the Treasure Island sequence. But the fantasy stuff, like the music video, it's like, I don't understand its place in the movie because it's like a montage and it's literally like a 90s music video, and you get the fairies or whatever that kill Humpty Dumpty. Objectively murder him with the
fairies that had the glasses because they weren't like traditional fairies. They were like lightning.
Oh yeah, they were like little light beings, and they were like
it looked like they were
dancers.
rotoscopes on like ballet dancers, and it's like strikingly beautiful.
Yeah, they literally looked like rotoscope ballet dancers, perfectly put, and really cool, really weird to see.
Because he's trying to conquer these fears that he has, and that's why thinking of the lightning when he's going into the tunnel and he's afraid and everything, and you have the fairies that are basically dancing, but they're lightning or whatever. And it's like, so this is him conquering another fear. It's just like, oh, this can be cool. It's not, the dangerous, however many people a day get hit by lightning and killed by lightning.
I didn't even make that connection, but that's a great point. That is him overcoming that fear right there.
Yeah, because throughout the entire movie, he's overcoming these little things. I think his parents say he's afraid of water or something. He's afraid of heights, and he's constantly, dealing with, I got to climb, I've got to jump, I've got to, do these things to survive. And adventure just kind of throws him in. He's like, oh, you're afraid to climb? All right, well, I'm going to, set the sea in here, and
he
either
opens
you climb
up
or you drown.
20,000 leagues under
yeah.
the sea.
I forgot about that.
That's the other conceit of the movie is every time he opens a book and reads a little bit of it, something comes out. That's how we get the Hounds of the Baskerville. That's how we get Jack and the Beanstalk. That's how we get 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And it's that is such a cool and fun thing to do in the movie, and it's also infinite things that could happen. The music video just stops the movie dead fucking cold.
Yeah, it's kind of a non sequitur. Of all the things you could have cut, why cut the Frankenstein part, not the music video.
The Frankenstein part was supposed to be like a whole like 10-minute section where he kidnaps Richard Tyler and the three like bugs have to save him, and it's like it was like a whole section, and he was like on the poster and everything, and they just cut it.
But I wonder, because, you know, the scenes where they open the books and something comes out of the books, for me it's familiar because that happened in the first Addams Family movie.
Oh, did it really?
And I was kind of like, oh, did Addams Family take from Pagemaster? No, Addams Family came out in 91. And it's in the end where Fester's trying to save the family.
Oh, yeah.
And he opens the book and it's, what is it, like Stories of the Bermuda Triangle? And, you know, this full-on store breaks out in the house. Well, and that's why I'm wondering if, you know, maybe Pagemaster took
somebody
a little bit
probably
from that.
saw that and was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Well, it's such a cool idea, and it's a cool premise for the movie. Like, it feels like... The movie feels like there's so much potential here, and it's kind of leaving a lot of it on the table, right? Because I love how they're going through, like, fantasy, adventure, horror, but I'm like, could we get like a sidetrack into like science fiction? Could we get like a sidetrack into like some other like genres, mysteries?
But then that means more books.
But Dean, you know, here's the thing. You know, if you take this pilot for our TV show, that was the thing that me and Dean came up with beforehand. Was this would make a great pilot for a TV show, for a kids TV show? This was perfect for a pilot for it.
Oh yeah, like if this was sold to like a network and it was like, hey guys, give us 27 episodes of like and some decent animators, we could get you like a touchstone television series that you can sell in syndication for like 2 fucking decades. This is like perfect PBS stuff, perfect Disney Channel stuff, perfect like for kids, Fox, whatever.
This would be perfect for like the ABC lineups that they used to have back in the day.
Yes, it would have been pitch perfect for that. You get a thing where it's Richard Tyler and he goes through a different like classical book every week with his 3 adventuring friends trying to find the exit.
He's got the library card now.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. It feels like this should have been a TV show.
It really does feel that way because it feels like cut really quickly, or like the editing's really fast and quick, and cuts don't make some sense sometimes.
Oh, which cuts are you talking about?
Well, you know, like the rule in cinema where you don't like shoot this way and then shoot one way and then
rule
flip 180,
or the 180-degree rule, right? Where it's like if we're talking and you flip to the other side, then you and me flip places.
Yeah.
It shows up in like The Shining if when Grady and Jack are talking to each other in the bathroom, and then it cuts to the other side and they're flipped. And it's like in there it's used like on purpose to imply that they've now switched places. They're like one and the same. In other movies, it's like, the director fucked up and they had to change lighting setups real quick.
Yeah, like in the movie, it's like they're walking towards a stair, and then it's like them coming up. It's like a weird cut when they're in horror, and it feels like it's all flipped around. Like, wait, weren't they going this way? Now they're going this way.
It does feel like there are some hiccups of continuity, and there was the one where they left horror and the whole color palette changed for just like 2 or 3 shots. You noticed that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I remember I was like, okay, like I remember horror section really well, and then when they changed, I'm like, wait, is the rest of the movie this like washed out? And then it cuts back to their normal color palette like right after. And it's really weird because it, for the most part, like there's a lot of talent, is put together really well. Like this is a functional movie. Like, you know, every stretch of the imagination, but the editing is like really weird and all these other things, and that might be why Joe Johnston no longer takes any credit for this film anymore.
Really?
So, here's some behind-the-scenes facts here.
Oh, we're getting to that point?
We're in that point. So, Joe Johnston, he directed all the live-action stuff of this movie, and it's unsure how much creative power he had over the animated sections of it. I'd imagine he'd have some, like, say, but Maurice Hunt, he did most of that work. But Joe Johnston said the studio cut out a lot of shit. They basically didn't let him have any like final cut. They edited a lot of what he directed into something different. Randy made mention when we were watching it that there's some 80-yard lines in the movie that are very obviously done that I guess were made for reasons. I don't know, because there's some ADR where Macaulay Culkin just starts talking that makes no sense why it sounds like that.
Or him just screaming all the time.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds like some studio people were like, we need to, make it more exciting. Pitch to the kids. So Joel Johnston takes no credit for this movie at
Wow.
all. Also, the writers were a huge like controversy because David Kirshner, who has a story credit on this, apparently he got it from the other David Cassie, who actually wrote the original treatment for it, gave it to Kirshner to be like, hey, you produced American Tail, can you like get this made? And Kirshner basically like, okay, cool. And then just didn't credit Casey with it at all when he went into production. And that made a huge fucking lawsuit and all these other things. And it's like the movies behind the scenes gets really dicey, and I'm wondering if that's like it might have been a thing where like the studio was like, we need to make this really short because we need to get this out on time because it's been in production for like 4 years.
Mhm.
And the writers thing is really messy, and we just want to get this done and get it out in 4 years. And all these other things. The movie was expensive.
Was it really?
Yeah.
It was, okay, for this movie, it ranges between 27 to 35, so I'd put it around 30 million?
It was 34 million.
34 million.
And it only brought back 13.7.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. And
Big ouchies.
and
And there was a lawsuit.
and there's a lawsuit, and okay, so you know how I was saying they were trying to fight Disney, tear them down, like, we're gonna make the new thing of children's entertainment, we're gonna be the new pinnacle. So Disney released Lion King in July.
Yeah.
It made a bunch of money.
Well, wait, real quick for clarification, what month does Pagemaster come out?
November.
It comes out November 23rd.
Yes.
24th.
Okay.
And Lion King comes out, does its full run. They're like, hey, we made all this money, awesome, guys. Goes out of theater for like 2 months, and they're like, when does Pagemaster release? They re-release Lion King against Pagemaster the same day.
Oh, that's cold.
Yeah,
That is cold.
Now, here's the other thing. This comes out November of 1994. And I have made arguments that 1994 is one of the most stacked fucking years in cinema.
Oh,
It really is.
Here's what comes out also in November of 94, before this movie. Interview with the Vampire, Santa Claus, Tim Allen's Santa Claus, Leon the Professional, Junior with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. All of those movies make over $100 million. Every last
Do
one.
they really?
Yeah.
Even Leon?
Leon cost like 10 million and it made like 50 or 60 million. But all the other ones grossed over 100.
Damn.
And it's like, man, dude, Pagemaster, you got boned on your release date. Also, you challenged the king and you missed. Never challenge the mouse.
Yeah, don't challenge the mouse, man.
Don't challenge the mouse, man.
Unless you're
Yeah,
Shrek.
and I mean, even the critics were, giving Pagemaster, like, really low scores, like 4 out of 10. But I mean,
Roger Ebert gave this a scathing review.
yeah, Roger,
did he really?
Yeah, he really went after the movie. But then they also took CinemaScope, the company, they took polls from families that went to go see it. They all gave it like an A-. So it was this thing where you've got the critics, where they're going to be very critical and very harsh on some of these films.
They're
And
overly analytical.
And then you have, the actual real people that are watching the movies and are like, you know what? I genuinely like this.
Okay, here's the thing, though. The critics are real people, too, okay?
They are, but sometimes people have been upset that they couldn't get, like, a private screener and they had to go in with the general public.
Yes.
And they were like, you know what? Fuck this. I couldn't watch it, so I'm not going to give it the best review.
I'm not giving them, like, all benefit of the doubt.
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, come on, they're real people, too.
They are, but I mean, that's their job to, to critique. And sometimes, they go a little bit overboard.
Well, here's the thing that I'm thinking, like, really got this movie bad reviews from critics is that a lot of the things that the critics can focus on that general audiences will kind of smooth over is, like, the bad editing in the movie, the music video that doesn't fit with the rest of it.
Yeah.
Because the music video that doesn't fit the rest of the movie, like, the parents are kind of like, whatever, it's music, the kids like it. And the critic will go, what the fuck's the point of this thing?
And, like, this stops the movie's pace dead in its tracks.
Yes.
We
And
could have, really solidified a new story for fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing. Fantasy gets kind of shafted in this because
Yeah.
she doesn't
Kinda
get
does.
her own like world to explore. It's a music video montage that's very, it's wonder. It's a lot of like really cool imagery. Honestly, the music video looks really cool.
It looks cool.
but it's just like pacing wise, I'm like, why is this here? And then we go right into the dragon, which is the climax of the movie, and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, but what? Couldn't we get like a King Arthur thing? Couldn't we get
It could
like?
have just been score. you have James Horner working on this. It could have been this epic score where, we're really seeing all these fantasy, stories and creatures come to life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would be interesting if we get Maurice Hunt's shot at Fantasia 2000 in this. Like, he's just like, okay.
But it's Disney.
Well, no, I get that, but he's like, okay, I want all these fantasy characters. I want James Horner to write me a banger, 8-minute thing, and we are going to basically do my own version of Fantasia with these characters for the fantasy section. Just do that, and I'm like, that would be interesting, but that's
instead
not here.
We get the music video and then a generic dragon and knight, which is basically a riff on Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, and it's also such a generic fantasy thing, and I'm like, everything else is very specific, right?
They could have turned it into a Sword in the Stone thing where,
is
he
King
worthy?
Arthur.
That would have been so good, because I'm like, why couldn't this have been a King Arthur thing? Maybe he's climbing it up, and it's oh, there's the sword in the stone, and there's all these dead knights and all these things around him, and then he's pulls the sword from the stone. It's oh, he is now worthy.
There could be the questing beast from the Arthurian tales.
If that was the thing he fought, was the questing beast at the end, would be interesting. And that it's a thing where I feel fantasy is I think Adventure's Treasure Island sequence is the weakest, just because it's the most broad and least visually interesting.
Okay, we need to get into this. How is the Treasure Island sequence the weakest?
I liked it.
I love Treasure Island, the book, and it wasn't on the screen. But that's just me.
You've got, you've got the pirates, you've got him, standing up to Long John Silver, and it's kind of you start to see the shift in Rich, where it's just he's no, I am going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to protect my friends, even though I know you can kill me with just, one swash of, your sword.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it's the thing where I just don't like the henchman pirates, because they are really, goofy. Because they don't feel threatening. But Long John Silver is good. He's threatening. I love how he's "Aye, sorry there, boy. I was just, trying to do me bidding and whatever." And he goes, I love how he goes off on the rowboat and he starts singing Yo Ho Ho Ball of Rum, because that image is the image of all of piracy in all of my imagination, whatever.
And then you have the pirates being pirates where they turn on him.
Yeah, there's a mutiny over the doubloons.
Yeah,
over
the one
doubloon.
I don't know. I think it's just the thing where it's once they get into the fighting part, it's a little too goofy for me.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty goofy.
But yeah,
it's a kid's movie. What are they gonna do? Shoot him and his arms are gonna fly off? Come on.
Oh, that'd be kind of metal though.
Yeah, of course it would be metal, but it wouldn't be a kid's movie.
And then Guts comes out of the jungle.
I knew you were gonna make a Berserk reference. I literally eyed the book behind you because it's on a bookshelf.
I saw you
him.
eye the books, and I was like, I gotta slide in on this. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's the horror section is just so good to me that everything else is okay, this is a step down or whatever. And I'm it really feels like it gets weaker as it goes along until we get to
the climax.
The climax, until we get inside the dragon's stomach, where it's the Jack and the Beanstalk, and it's Atlas Shrugged and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I loved that. That's one of the best sight gags in the whole movie.
And then you have the Pagemaster voiceover where he's go to the books, and he's finally oh, I got it. This is what he meant. And it's just ripping through all the books to see which is the one that's gonna help me escape the belly of the beast.
Yeah, where he opens up Alice in Wonderland. Off with his head.
or fantasy is go to page 1001. Arabian Nights? Yeah, that one. Tear it out and get the flying carpet.
Oh yeah.
And it's guys, this is a trademark distinct from Disney's Aladdin flying carpet.
I'm
Thank
already
you very
on
much.
it. See when Aladdin comes out.
Of course you are. But it is one of those things.
92. So yeah.
See, they were avoiding lawsuits left and right in this movie. This is a dangerous movie.
Here's the thing: the flying carpet isn't unique to Aladdin. They got it from Arabian Nights.
1001 Arabian Nights. Use the whole name.
Correct.
Like the artist formerly known as
Even
Prince.
though most translations don't have all 1001 Nights, but we won't talk about that.
We're not getting into that. But yeah, it's one of those things where it is the movie gets weaker as it goes along until we get to the climax, right? And the dragon fighting sequence is really fun. That's when the movie upticks super hard again.
And it's not him being afraid of taking on the dragon. It's this internal struggle of, the exit's right there. I could just,
I could just dip, but my friends
are in trouble. And I made them a promise that I would take them out of the library.
Mm-hmm.
I love that little thing in the movie where each one of them is like, I was misshelved. I'm in the wrong section.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be read. I just want to be out of the library.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, can you check me out? Can you use your magic library card and get me out of here? And then, that leads to a really heartwarming thing at the end, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Because, Richard defeats the dragon because he has to defeat the dragon in storytelling things.
Adventure actually tells him, "Go on, boy, leave us be, save yourself."
But you know why he comes back? It's the Han Solo mentality. I'm a scoundrel, but damn it, gotta go back for a friend. And gets on the Millennium Falcon, comes back with Dewey, and saves the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to meet the Pagemaster once again, and he gives us the clip show of the whole movie in case, you stepped out to use the bathroom.
Yeah,
true, actually. big true there. It wakes the dad up at the end of the movie. Oh, what? Oh.
Oh, that happened?
Oh, that happened?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Okay.
That felt like the director being like, homie move to all my parents out there who went outside to smoke. This one, this is so you know what your kid's talking about on the way home.
But I mean, I love that scene because Rich, he's just pissed off. He's like, all of this to get to the exit, you almost drowned me. I was swallowed by a dragon. I was this, I was that. And he goes, you needed to. He's like, what's the adventure? What's the journey of just walking out of the exit?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you gain so much from, all these little things that happen to you along the way.
It's heavy-handed in its message, but it's for kids,
Yeah.
You got it.
It's also the thing of like, you explored all these books. You learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
Reading is fun. Reading is power, kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it is heavy-handed, but I think it's just kind of sweet. The movie's so fucking charming.
It is really charming. It's really cute, charming. The jokes are funny.
Yeah.
Honestly funny.
There was no joke in the movie that I was like, okay, that didn't age well. That's really weird.
Well, because the jokes are timeless like the books are trying to portray.
I mean, you've got adventure when he tells, fantasy, you want to curl up with a warm book?
Or curl up with a good book?
Curl up with a good book.
Would you like to curl up with a good book? And she slaps and she's like, I do not. What is wrong with you? There are children present. And she walks back in. It is... Also, again, transformative Patrick Stewart performance. His greatest role.
Crazy.
Well, I think,
crazy performance.
For them, because, they have such great chemistry, their characters, but they also recorded together.
Oh, did they really?
Oh,
they did.
Okay.
So, you have that actual physical chemistry because they're in the same room. They could look at each other. They could kind of riff off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that really added to the element of their characters in the movie.
You feel it through the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You really feel it through the screen. And you also have like the Frank Welker character playing horror, and he is so like sympathetic because he is playing, it's like, oh, I'm dumb,
I'm dumb and scared.
I'm dumb and scared, I don't like he's like, oh, what's wrong? He's like, because I'm horror, and horror never has a happy ending.
Oh,
it broke
true.
my heart.
And it's like, this movie is like trying to be like, yo, heartstrings, let me just swing across you real quick so you can give horror a warm hug.
No. The heartstrings are when, Rich comes back into his body and he's like, okay, you found some books. That's great. You can only take 2. And it's just like,
oh,
no.
Yeah, the look on his face.
And he's like, I gotta take horror. I promised. He's like, well, son, I know what kids need, and you need exactly what you just told me. You can have the 3 books. And, he goes, just this one time. And I'm going to feel real bad when he has to go return one of them, and it's like...
Oh, you never returned.
No, he's never going back there again.
He just stole those books
are
from the library.
Yeah, big true. It's a coming-of-age story where every kid has to go through stealing from the library.
What was the first book you ever stole from the library?
Go to a library?
Oh, no. Yeah.
And Dean's the one, you want to go to the library? I'm like, do you have a card? No, we'll just, we'll get one.
We'll just go in and take things. Yeah, it's a public library. It's for the public.
You say
My
that
tax
about
dollars
Dean,
go into it.
but me and him literally went to a library just to check it out like not that long ago.
Oh, I know. That's why it's, that's very much a him thing where he's like, yo, public library, you want to go?
That library...
I said that to him.
Oh, yeah.
Randy's the one like, let's go explore a library. And that library was ballin'. Also, we did research for this episode. We went to libraries. Research. Shut the fuck up, Randy. Take the W, Randy. Why don't you ever
Thank
take
you,
the
Randy.
W?
No,
Call him on his bullshit.
That would be a lie. We did not go to libraries to research this episode, although I did almost go to a library today, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
I like how you call me old, and Randy used a saying that World War I vets would probably use, and you're like, that's fine. Let that slide.
Well, yeah, he's saying it to make a point. You just say it because you think we're still in the 50s.
I don't know what you mean, doll. So, where were we?
I cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for the cringe. So, the movie's ending comes in, Rich comes out, he takes the books, and instead of getting the nails, like he was sent out to do on his quest, he goes home and he just falls asleep in his treehouse, and his parents come back.
You forgot, he makes the sick jump on the bike.
Oh,
yeah.
We complete that arc.
Because he's like, yo, I just slayed a dragon. I could totally hit that jump.
Mm-hmm. And his bike isn't the pussy wagon anymore. It's just
not.
a normal bike now. All the cool stuff that was on it fell off.
He got rid of the mods, and he's like, you know what? He's like, I'm just in it for the BMX skills.
Yeah.
And he's got him now.
BMX bandits showing up.
So he does like a 720 triple kickflip off the pipe.
He pulls off like a 900. Tony Hawk would be proud. And he hits that. That's how we know. Oh, his character arc has landed. He's
X Games mode.
Nailed it.
Except we don't get those nails though.
We do not.
Yeah, we don't get the nails. They're never mentioned again.
I know.
Chekhov's nails.
Some bullshit. The nails were set up and they never went off.
Well, that's part of him coming full circle. He's like, fuck that, Dad. You think I'm gonna go get you some nails? You go get the nails.
He's like, I'm a rebel now. I
Oh,
read.
God.
He's like, I read now. I don't need you. And he gets home, and his parents are like, where the fuck's our son? He's been gone for hours.
They pull up to the house. I guess they've probably been driving around the neighborhood looking for him, and they see his bike laying in the driveway. And I'm sitting there being like, oh, there's a note tied to the bike that says, we have your son, $200,000 ransom.
We are the wet bandits. Get fucked.
We should have had a scene where they're just driving around, stating statistics that they learned from him.
That they learned from him?
They're driving by a river or something. Do you know how many people drive? Oh, no, wait. This building could have crumbled and collapsed on him. And it's just like...
If the child's not found within the first 24 hours.
Thank you.
That would be the best thing ever, because that would be the thing where it's like, that's why he's like this, because his parents aren't always statistical, blah, 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 but they're worry warts kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like that all the time, but when they worry, they're like, oh man, this happened.
They worry a lot.
Worry.
That would be a full circle thing. That would be pretty cool.
But they show up and they see their son is up there in an unfinished treehouse, just lying there with some books and a gas lantern. Our son has...
Because earlier, Rich, a gas lantern in a tree house in a tree.
Oh no!
Never would have happened.
Never.
And I love how his dad's like, or his mom's like, oh, let's take him inside. He's like, no, let's leave him up here tonight, because his dad's like, honey, our son is now going to sleep outside.
He is a man.
He is a man now. He is Spartan now. He is a warrior.
No, let him sleep outside so we can, in the bedroom. They're like, let him sleep outside so you can catch pneumonia. It just rained and shit. It's probably cold as fuck.
That wood is probably soaked through.
He's good though. He's got my jacket to cover him.
He's got Dad's jacket. That thing is the warmest thing on the planet. Yes. Dad's jacket.
Factual information. Dad's jacket. It's this is so nice. And we get the last little bits of horror, fantasy, and adventure, and he's like,
because we think once we get in the real world, they're just books, and we see the condition of these books, and okay, this is what they would really look like in our world, and it's we're not going to see these characters that we just journeyed with, and then you get that sweet little I'm not going to say Disney moment, but that sweet moment,
on the wall,
the shadows on the wall of them, and they're all together,
and it's so cute, and adventure's to end a good story, you need a kiss. And he's looking at fantasy and horror's like, well, all right then. And I meant from her. and it goes out to the music, and it is such a sweet movie. Such a sweet movie.
Super short.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We were not lying. This could just be a TV pilot.
75 minutes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if you cut the ending out and you leave it where now he's like, oh, you're stuck in the library, and you may have gotten to the pinnacle, but the exit's still a little bit farther.
Just keeps getting farther. Damn, we were just there.
Or he could be like, well, you found the exit to this chapter, and it opens up, and he's back in the library, and then it's like, tune in next week to find out if Richard Tyler can ever exit the Pagemaster. Or whatever,
exit the
exit the Matrix or whatever.
Yeah,
also,
sure.
this is the
doing
Matrix.
A colonoscopy or something.
Jesus Christ! He got swallowed by the dragon. And he's like, I don't have Jack and the Beanstalk. Now we play the waiting game.
It was horrible.
It's horrible.
I'm so mad he didn't get eaten by Moby Dick and there wasn't a copy of like Pinocchio in there.
Oh, that would have been so perfect.
Easy get. But
Sued
yeah.
by Disney.
Immediately. Immediately.
Instantly.
But yeah, because the movie is 75 minutes, and I think with like the Frankenstein section and judging by other scenes that were supposedly in the movie,
Probably like a 90-minute.
Yeah, probably been like 90 minutes, and like the live action stuff feels like Joe Johnston pounded that shit out in a week.
Yeah.
Oh god, yes.
He's super quick, and it's like, so the animation took forever, and it shows on screen.
I mean, it doesn't show throughout the whole movie. It shows through certain sections are like really well animated. Some of it's a little flat.
A little
Most
bit.
of the stuff that like Richard Tyler's on screen is pretty flat.
Yeah.
When it's like the other characters, it's usually played up and like really vibrant. Also, he kind of clashes a lot with the backgrounds, but he is like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's a thing where it's like there's like 4 or 5 sections that are just like visually striking and really, really cool. And then the rest of it is like, oh, fuck, yeah, we do have to draw all this shit by hand. Okay. And I'm just like fascinated. It took like 4 years to make. Is that what you said?
That's a lot.
Yeah, almost 4 years to make. I mean, that's up with like stop motion animation because it takes about 3 to 4 years. But you'd think, a 2D animated movie would be a little bit faster because it's not the puppetry and moving things and things taking, one scene taking like a week to be shot. But I think there was also an issue with the Writers Guild. I think they were on strike during the making of this movie.
This movie just had nothing going for it.
Yeah, so there were, lots of delays, lots of hiccups that were happening. But we finally get the Pagemaster.
It is a thing.
And it is a totally adequate movie.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing. There's so much talent on this movie.
Yeah.
There's so much name brand. There's so much like work behind it, and
You've got the cast of Star Trek.
Yeah, half the cast of Star Trek's on here, and it's like it's circumstance that doomed it at the box office.
Yeah.
Circumstance doomed it at the box office. Maybe some like executorial decisions might have like made the movie a little less tight. Fucking a little less tight at 75 minutes. But yeah. Rewatching it now, I felt like this was still a good movie.
Yeah, it was still a good movie. And it's probably did come down to a little bit more executive decisions and like mistakes made in the editing room, because there was some parts where one thing that stands out to me is I think they were on the Treasure Island at the time, and there's like a cut that lasts for like 4 frames, something like ridiculously short.
Oh yeah, I noticed that when we were watching. It's like right when they get on the island and they're walking through, and it just snap cuts real quick, and it doesn't even look like they changed perspective.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, what was that? What was the point of that? Like, did they not have like enough filler here, or was like, oh, somebody was like cutting stuff together and just left a little bit on accident?
Which is weird because with animation, traditionally, you animate to storyboard. Like when you storyboard, that's the movie. And then you animate and it's like, okay, the movie's over. Like as soon as you're done animating, the movie's out the gate, sound design or whatever. So it's like you usually don't cut sequences after they're animated. So it's like, that's why it's so weird to me that there's scenes missing from this. And it's like, did they just say like, it's been in for 4 years, we need to get this fucking out eventually? Because it's like either
don't finish animating that, just cut it.
Yeah, is it like a thing where it's like McCulkin's star was like starting to fade or something? Because this and Richie Rich were back-to-back bombs, and that was like, all right, he was the biggest child star of like the early 90s, so he's out now. Is that what they were concerned about? Where they were just concerned that it's like, look, Lion King dropped, we've been working on this for a while, let's try and get in on that animated money while it's hot. And then Disney was like, you challenged the king? You challenged the mouse? And then,
Yeah, it was already in production for almost like 4 years, at least like 3.5. And they see Lion King come out, and they know that their movie is releasing after the Lion King is going to be out of box office. And they're like, cool, we can ride that. The next animated movie, we're going to be a huge hit. And so they probably cut down a little bit. They were like, don't animate this, leave that out. We need to release at this date. We've already way over time. And then Disney just goes, release Lion King again.
I'll do it again.
And it just blows up right in their face.
Ugh.
Could have waited a few more months and finished the whole movie and released in like, spring or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the
When
thing
they're
where
already 4 years in.
yeah, they're 4 years in, and also the month they released in is kind of hard, right?
Mhm.
Like Tim Allen's Santa Claus. I don't know your guys' thoughts on that, but that movie is like fucking huge.
Oh,
that has
yeah.
a bigger cultural touch point than Pagemaster does.
Yeah.
And then it's like Interview with a Vampire. I know people love that movie.
Oh God, yes.
Mhm.
And it's like Junior. That's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I forgot his name. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito just being like, yeah, Arnold is like the most bankable star in all of Hollywood. Yeah,
Mhm.
fuck it. Like, put his name on it. It made like $180 million. Whatever. It's fucking wild how many short straws Pagemaster pulled when there was so much behind it. But on a lighter note, I really liked it. I
Yeah,
thought it was
it's
good.
Same.
nice. Definitely could show it to my kids. There's no like weird. I think that they make this a lot in like newer kids movies where there will be jokes for the adults that are kind of like once you're an adult, you're like that's not really appropriate.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, but like the kid's not gonna get it, but the adult's like, did you really have like? I know you're kind of like wink and nod to the parents that are watching it, but like, come on, man.
Like all the like weird dirty like the weird dirty jokes in Rocko's Modern Life
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Or like more like sometimes like political jokes where they like make a reference to something and the
Yeah.
kids are like kind of like haha whatever, and the parents are like, ooh, like did
Like,
you really need to like make like a Monica Lewinsky joke in my kids movie?
Oh god. Yeah, I mean like Aladdin is like all over that where it's
Mhm.
like because it's Robin Williams is
Yeah.
just like improvising most of his like comedy stuff and then they animated it later.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's stuff in there where it's like, why is the genie turned into William Buckley
Yeah.
in one of these
Oh
monologues?
yeah, I totally forgot all about that. Yeah,
He turns into Jack Nicholson and he's
Mhm.
doing like all these other things and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's Robin Williams and he's in it's funny Robin Williams bits, but it's like, bro, like I'm in here with like I'm like in here with 9-year-olds. Why are you making William Jeff Buckley jokes? But yeah, Pagemaster I think holds up.
Same.
yeah, it holds up definitely. It's not like the easiest watch as an adult, but like I have the nostalgia for it, so I could go back and probably watch it again. But like I'll probably wait until I have kids to do so.
Uh-huh. Well,
I'd give it 2 thumbs up.
I definitely give it 2 thumbs up. It's one of those things where it has its issues, but it is so charming.
It's a really charming movie.
I think it. I'm just wondering if it works without nostalgia. If you don't have nostalgia for it, does it still work?
It's definitely cute and funny enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's very imaginative. There's a lot of cool like sequences. So,
Good sight gags.
again, you just love Atlas Shrugged.
That is so good though. It's so perfect. It's like I wish there was more of that in the movie.
If there was a TV show,
Oh yeah, in the
Just
TV
saying.
show.
Yeah.
but yeah. So yeah, final thoughts on Pagemaster, Becky,
Horror is the best character.
Randy.
Adventure's best character. I know this kind of leaves you in a tight spot.
Whoa, I'm just saying, fantasy. She got some of the best jokes in the movie. Must
yeah,
be a
but
duplex.
Adventures
it.
Picard.
Yeah.
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 True. Wait, did I just like convince you, or you're just
No,
saying
I
that-
know that he's gonna pick you. He's not gonna pick me.
Oh, okay.
What between what horror
And adventure.
oh horror all the way? Well, horror is better, but I'm picking fantasy because must be a duplex.
That's a good
Jeez.
gag.
It's so funny.
That is a good gag.
It is like Whoopi like she got jokes. all
She
right?
do.
But yeah, so that was Pagemaster.
That was.
Randy, I'm glad you came back. I'm
Mhm.
glad you enjoyed the movie. I was a little afraid I was gonna show it and you're gonna be like, God, my childhood was shit, filled with horrible movies.
Well, I was trying to really avoid watching it at the time because I really didn't want to do that shit. I wanted to do anything else with my time, but then we watched it and I was like, it was alright. Yeah, it's fine.
He's sitting there crying. It was so beautiful.
No, I was literally like bitching at Dean the whole time
Oh, yeah.
beforehand, being like, "Fuck, dude, I gotta watch the movie. And I won't be able to do anything else for like 2 hours." 'Cause I didn't know it was 75 minutes
Yeah.
long.
Randy's
Quick
like, if it was
watch.
75
Like,
minutes long,
right
shit.
before it started, I was like, "Hey, Dean, how long is the movie?" He's like, "Oh, let me look." He looks at the box. Wow, 75 minutes. I was like, "Oh, well, okay then."
No, Randy, it was after the movie. You were like, how long was that? And I was like, 75 minutes. He's like, what the fuck?
I was like, "God damn,
That
I
felt
still
like an
got
episode of
plenty-
Seinfeld.
I got
Yeah.
plenty of time in my day. I can do a bunch of shit."
Oh.
Well, geez, why can't all movies be this short?
Not the movies that Dean likes.
Or, well, also the movies that I like.
Yes, that's why it's
big
like...
True.
Randy's like, it's gonna be so long and boring. Randy's favorite movies: Ben-Hur, Ten Commandments, fucking Noah. He's like, if it's not 4 hours and about the Bible,
You know,
get off my lawn.
I've only seen Noah once, though. It might not hold up on a rewatch, but I remember that's like one of the only movies that actually had me like gripping the edge of my seat, you know, being like, oh shit. I mean, I know we're tangent talking about a completely different movie here, but oh shit, is he gonna kill the baby?
Welcome to the podcast.
Is he gonna kill
Yes.
the baby? Is he gonna kill the baby? Oh my god!
I just like how Randy's like, I don't know if this like Oscar bait movie with Russell Crowe, directed by Darren Aronofsky, is gonna hold up. I mean, Pagemaster held up great, but that's a
Okay,
masterpiece.
But here's the thing, though. Like back then, like I don't give a crap about no Darren Aronofsky. Tenuous knowledge of like, oh, Russell Crowe, he kind of looks familiar.
He was
you
in
know?
Gladiator.
I know he's in Gladiator now, but back then I didn't give a crap. You know, I didn't know that like Noah was some Oscar bait big movie. I just watched movies and didn't give a crap about any of this.
I like how Randy's like, I didn't know fucking Russell Crowe, and I'm like, Randy, we watch Gladiator all the time. That is why you love Rome. That and Rome Total War.
No, it's Rome Total War. By the way, love Rome. Don't lie to our viewers.
Greatest quote in all of video games.
This land is Roman.
Next week, what are we talking about?
Next week, we've complained about Disney enough. We're going to be talking about a Disney movie next week.
Oh no, I thought next week we'd be talking about Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh yeah, everybody, we're bringing it back. Film Odyssey, it's coming back.
Doubt it.
Never, probably
Oh,
not.
good luck with that.
I know.
Yeah, sorry. I got
You
life.
want to be on? You want to be on the episode?
No, I'm good. I got this.
I actually would like your opinion on Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf because it is a very strange movie for the both of us.
Yeah, it's also Liz Taylor. It's what she won her Oscar for.
Never seen it.
The performances are really good, but the story almost makes no sense.
It is a very strange theatery movie.
Speaking of Elizabeth Taylor, Randy should watch Giant.
You would love Giant.
Would I really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. You say that about like every.
No,
fucking movie.
dude. Giant slaps.
And it's an epic.
It is an
Oh,
epic.
It is an epic.
It's an epic.
Yeah, it's a modern epic. It's kind of it's a Western thing. It's this whole thing about this family's like change from like borderline Old West to like the modern West in like Texas. They're like this oil family, and it's got
Then you
James
got new
Dean.
money in it too.
Yeah,
Okay.
James Dean's in it, Rock Hudson's in it, Liz Taylor's in it.
Speaking about these big epics,
Dennis Hopper's
though,
in it.
Oh, Dennis Hopper.
Dennis, it's like one of his first roles.
Speaking though about like these big epic movies, I mean, I only made it halfway through Gone with the Wind. I was
Okay.
kind of hangry though. That's why I didn't watch the whole thing.
Gone with the Wind. Oh, is it controversial to say? I was like, it's a pretty good movie. I liked it, but I don't think I could ever rewatch that movie again. It is so goddamn like dense and slow.
That's not controversial. It's fact. It is a very long movie to sit through. And there's a lot going on in the movie that you can't.
You can feel the length.
Yeah, it's a beefy movie.
Wait, it's a beefy movie and you can feel the length. Oh yeah. I had to get it in once. I had to get it. You can cut it later, but I had to get that in.
No. I'm not cutting this later. It's in.
All right, but
It's in. Oh yeah.
So in.
next week we're going to be talking with another guest.
Yes.
We're going to have somebody that's already been on the podcast. He's coming back, our good friend Reggie, and we're going to be talking about one of his favorite movies, Dumbo.
Dumbo.
Really, one of his favorite movies?
One of his favorite animated movies.
Yeah, like Dumbo. We talked to him about this, and he said Dumbo is his jam. For his money, it is the best Walt Disney animated film.
Wow.
It's a good movie. It's a sad movie. I haven't watched it since like maybe early 2000s, so it's gonna be a fresh watch.
You know what's crazy though is that Dumbo was apparently like my kid's movie. My sister has a tattoo on her foot that's supposed to like represent all three of us.
Yeah.
Me, my brother, and her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all of our kids' songs that my mom would sing to us when we were like babies.
Mm-hmm.
And mine's the feather from Dumbo
Yeah.
because my mom used to sing, what is it, Baby Mine to me
Yeah.
all the time when I was a kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
believe me, Dean mentioned that when we were talking to Reggie. He's like, "Oh yeah, my brother, baby mine." Yeah, I was just like,
I like how you always act like I'm exacerbated, and I just did a line of coke, and I got to tell people.
we were
things.
talking about something about Randy last week, and you're like, "Hey, my brother Randy," and I'm like, "I know, we've met."
I'm like,
we've known each other for almost a decade. He's like,
Yeah.
"We know."
I inform people these things.
You just gotta clarify, Randy, my brother Randy.
He gets lost
it
in the
could be any
sauce,
Randy.
and he's just like, "My brother Randy," and I'm just like, okay, like calm down, it's okay.
At least he's excited about me to other people.
I'm excited about everything, though.
Doubt it.
He's like,
No.
"Fucking Randy, my brother Randy."
But here's the thing, though, about Dumbo being like my baby
Yeah.
movie and all this stuff. Oh, and I also had like a statue of Dumbo in my room that I got, or my sister got for me for Christmas. Or no, my mom got it for me for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of like represented like, oh, and it was Dumbo with Dumbo's mom.
Yeah.
And it's super sweet, the cutest thing. I put it up on my shelf. My cat knocked it over and broke it to where it separated Dumbo from his mom. And I cried.
Oh no.
This happened like a year ago,
Oh,
and
jeez.
I lost my shit. I thought it was like an omen or something.
No.
That is some dark shit right there, dude. Are you about to cry right now?
Bro, I'm like tearing up thinking, bro,
The two brothers
I
are crying.
lost
Oh, no.
my shit like you wouldn't believe. I had to like go out to the living room and like be like, Mom, it broke and it broke in this way, and I just
Randy was about to kill fucking Charlie. I swear to God.
I don't know. I woke up and it was like that, so I don't know what cat did it.
Oh, thank
But
God
now
he
it's
doesn't
just-
know it was me.
I swear I was strangling in your sleep. But like
No, you'd have to strangle him right now so people can,
For
now
the
it's-
content.
Now
Yes.
it's just like sitting in like a box, like wrapped in like a towel in my room, and every time I see the box, I'm like,
And the best part, Randy's never seen Dumbo.
yeah, that was the whole point of all of this. Like, Dumbo is supposed to mean so much to me, and it kind of does.
Yeah.
But I literally like haven't seen Dumbo past the point where I have like a memory.
Right.
Like the only time I saw Dumbo is before I had consciousness.
So I think
Yeah.
you two should watch it together.
I mean, I know I've never seen it, but I'm 99% sure we own the thing.
No, you've probably seen it, but the same thing as me.
It
It was like before you like your memory
Yeah.
began.
I love that when I talk about it's like, oh yeah, I watched Wizard of Oz, and you were like, you've never seen Wizard of Oz? I'm like, well, the last time I saw it, I was 4. I don't remember. And you're like, no excuses. Remember everything.
But Back to the Future, though.
oh,
You're like, I remember the day, the second.
yes, it's the first movie I consciously remember ever watching. I remember I was in our den, right? So this is when we were out of the ugly house, we were in the good house. And we're in the den, and I'm eating KFC with potato wedges. I remember there was Chicken Littles and potato wedges. And I'm watching Back to the Future, and it's the first conscious memory I have of watching a movie is Back to the Future.
I don't know. It's the first conscious memory I have of watching a movie. I know Dean claims that I watched Star Wars 3, the third prequel,
Yeah.
and I have no recollection of watching this movie.
We hear that argument a lot.
Dad,
Yes, we do talk
Our-
about it
our-
a lot.
our father, who has taken us to the movies on 5 separate occasions in our entire lives, and 3 of them were the Star Wars movies. The other 2 were Treasure Planet and the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yes.
Those are the only 5 movies. But we sat there, and you sat next to me, and we watched Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. You were there, goddammit.
I might have been there. I have zero recollection of watching the third movie.
Yeah, so next week we're going to be watching Dumbo, and if you want to listen to us on a different platform than you currently are, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
You can go to our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, and watch our lovely slideshows of these episodes. You can also follow us on our Instagram at
The Film Club Podcast, where we post daily stories, upcoming episodes, and our random adventures we go on.
And with that, Randy, do you want to plug anything?
Plug anything? Alando on Twitch. He's the best warrior in World of Warcraft.
Oh, I thought we were going to get oh yeah.
no, I don't know. It's the first thing that popped in my mind. Like, what am I going to watch when I get home? Oh, yeah, I'll plug that.
And with that,
We'll see you next week at the Film Club.
have a good week, everybody.